somewhere else, but this is where we found ourselves. Welcome to the local show. People you work with, people you know.
Welcome to another edition of the local show here on GrassRoots Community Network. Thank you for joining us, guys. I'm Erik Skarvan, your host. A special thanks to our live audience out there in YouTube and Facebook land. Thanks for joining us, guys. Excited to have a neighbor of mine, actually. He's been a city councilman for more than a few years now. I want to welcome to the show Ward Hauenstein. Welcome to the show, Ward.
Thank you, Erik.
Here's a little, we'll call it a foreshadow of what we'll be talking about today, which is helping out our friends in Ukraine.
That's a good way to do it right there, assistukraine.org.
There you go. Going right to it. I love it. And we're going to be efficient because we got so much to cover. And I can go off on a tangent on a lot of stuff, as I kind of did before the show. But I kind of wanted to talk about the last couple years, because, I mean, I think a lot of us, you know, as we're hunkered down during COVID, as we're kind of doing what we needed to do, and you know, our nation around us was changing, and a lot of people were leaving cities and making lifetime decisions that maybe were pushed to the forefront because of COVID. We saw kind of some changes going on in the community, and accelerated change, it seemed like, for a lot of us, where our demographic changed and different dynamics were occurring. And, you know, sitting there as a decision maker in our local government, can you talk just kind of about some of the challenges and, you know, I guess some of the greater challenges and some of the rewards as well, kind of going through the last couple years?
Well, I have roots in Maine, so instead of turning up the water on a frog, I always use the analogy of turning up the water on lobster.
Yeah.
What happens is you get in the middle of something and things sneak up on you. You're not really aware of them until all of a sudden you step back and go, wow, what has happened in the last few years? I think that it was really accelerated during COVID-19, where the people wanted to get away from the cities. They didn't want to be around people. And it really drove our short-term rental market, where people wanted to be in a house. They didn't want to be in a hotel. So in that short-term rental market really started driving our residential development and taking us places that I don't think are in harmony with our stated goals in the Aspen Area Community Plan. So as we step back and take a look at it, we're going, wow, things are changing. What can we do to try to at least stop digging the hole and see what we can do to retain the fabric of our community? So that's kind of the political part of not getting into the COVID-19 thing, which is pretty much a lost year and a half or 2 years of trying to make progress on other things. And
Yeah.
That's like designing an airplane mid-flight.
Right, right. So, and one of the responses, you know, was a moratorium, you know, to kind of pump the brakes on both residential development. You know, we see about 1,000 construction sites roughly around Aspen. Talking to staff recently, I was kind of researching for a letter I wrote. It was actually about the Aspen Area Community Plan and how that is our, you know, our who we are. You know, in essence, it's our values, our goals, a guiding document. You know, a main principle that you guys use for decisions, and then also the STRs, which are estimated at about 1,500 short-term rentals in Aspen, over 3,000 in Pickett County, which is astounding. And so one of the responses was the moratorium, and I guess on the reward side, I mean, what are you seeing some of the good things, I think, coming out of these challenges, or some of the rewards you've experienced in council?
Well, the squeaky wheel, most of the time people are complaining because they're not making as much money as they think they could be. And the rewards are when the people actually pull you aside and say, thank you. You know, we really needed this. Our community is slipping away from us, and it means so much to us. So the biggest rewards are those expressions of gratitude that makes you feel that you are pursuing some good work, and that you are doing something that the community, the core of our community care about.
Right. So is there more gratitude than grief? or how would you describe that in the scales of, we'll call it the scales of justice? And
Well,
it's more just, or do you focus more on that glass half full, or how do you kind of, I guess psychologically, kind of how do you put that in order?
I think the key, first of all, is defining a problem. If you see the problem before the water's boiled and your lobster has turned red, then you're doing pretty well. And then we're so fortunate in Aspen to have a really qualified, well-educated, and dedicated staff that at the council level, our duty is to set policy. And then we charge staff with coming up with how you implement that. And so we're in the process now of doing work sessions, public outreach, public engagement, to help further define what the issues are and to get feedback from the community. I've been on council now about 5 years, and when I first got on council, one of the biggest complaints we heard from the community is you come up with a plan and then you go to the community about it. And what you should be doing is going to the community to formulate your opinion and then formulate the plan. And that's what we've been doing during this moratorium. Is we've had a lot of pop-ups, we've had public meetings, we've had virtual meetings, we've had work sessions, we have work groups, so that we find out what the community wants, where the community is, what they don't want, and formulate policy around that. So we've been accused of, well, what have you been doing for 4 months? You haven't done anything. Well, what we're doing in 4 months, 5 months, is we're determining what needs to be done. And we're not going to put a policy out without knowing what the problem, fully defining the problem, and how the community feels about possible solutions. So the public outreach and engagement are really key.
Well, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate the break. I've taken aside a couple from council and out just about by the post office and other places, and thanked you guys for taking the moratorium. I believe it is an emergency. Anyone who lives here, I think in town full time, would agree. People who live in other places, they have a whole nother perspective, and I totally appreciate and understand that. But when you're living here, it's a different world when you're surrounded by it literally every day. So I appreciate you guys. I appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate the public input. There's also surveys to weigh in. I just did the one online the other day, both of them, the one towards short-term rentals and the one towards residential development. So thank you for doing that. Now, I have to take a minute, Ward, to thank our underwriters for this winter, to take our only break of the show, guys. I do want to thank our winter underwriters and some annual underwriters to make shows like this with City Councilman Ward Hauenstein, 5 years now serving our community on City Council. I want to thank Gonzo Nation, Haiti Children, Klug Properties, Highlands Ale House, Obermeyer, Picken County Landfill, and Sundog Athletics. Guys, don't go away. We're going to talk about Ward's recent trip to Warsaw, Poland, and right up to the border of Ukraine, and what he experienced there, and so much more. Don't go away.
The Gonzo Foundation is a nonprofit organization created to promote literature, journalism, and political activism through the legacy of Hunter S. Thompson, and is a proud supporter of the local show and GrassRoots TV. For more information, visit thegonzofoundation.org.
I'm so passionate about this community. I absolutely love living here and raising my family here. It gives me a lot of pride to share this with my friends and my clients and help them achieve their dreams of owning an Aspen snowmass and enjoying this incredible lifestyle.
I'm Klaus Obermeyer, and I wish you a terrific winter on the Aspen Mountains.
Locally owned and located at the base of Aspen Highlands, Highlands Ale House features delicious scratch-made comfort food, cocktails, beer, and more. Their sunny outdoor deck is ski in, ski out. 2 miles from Aspen, they're open daily, winter and summer. Sundog Athletics, Aspen's adventure sports school, is your opportunity to experience private, all-inclusive snowshoeing, cross-country skiing, and fat biking instructional adventures that will improve your safety, performance, and enjoyment.
Welcome to the local show. People you work with, people you know.
We're back here on the local show. Guys, thank you for sticking with us. So we're getting ready to wrap up our season next week as we wrap up ski season. And Ward, you just had a big trip, to say the least, over. You found out and watched the news like all of us, and you just felt this deep need to go over and help the people of Ukraine after this evil, Russian invasion and now genocide. And now we're finding there might have even been chemicals used in Mariupol recently. That just came up into the news the last few days. Really just atrocities and, mass murder that's going on. And you kind of talk about that original, feeling and idea and that need to go over there and do something in your soul.
Well, I'm a student of World War II history, and the parallels between this and what I call the Munich betrayal, it's just astounding to me. And I think that Putin needs to be stopped. And I can't go out there and stop him, but if I can do something, I feel as though I have to do something. And when an opportunity presented itself, I just felt like it was a no-brainer. I found out on a Sunday afternoon that we were going to look at some drones. Assist Ukraine is going to look at purchasing some drones to get to Ukraine because they need them. And so Sunday afternoon, looked at them. Monday, they were delivered to my house. Monday, I made reservations, left Wednesday afternoon, got to Warsaw Thursday, 2 in the afternoon, and left on Sunday morning. So it was a whirlwind. I was on the ground for 66 hours in Poland. But I have to tell you a little story about, got into the airport in Ukraine, or in Warsaw, and a big guard starts asking me about these huge cases I have that the drones are in. And I speak no Polish, and he spoke very broken English, but I could tell he was really concerned. And so a lady, Katrina, was our tour guide and interpreter, translator, met me at the airport, and she came over and starts talking to the guard. And in Poland, if you bring over $10,000, you have to declare it. I probably had $50,000 worth of drones. And she's explaining, well, these are going to Ukraine. They're going to just be here for a couple of days. And the big guard put his finger on my face in this gruff look, and then he extended his hand with a huge smile and shook my hand, and he says, "Thank you."
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was cool.
How incredible.
Yeah,
but pretty intense, right? I mean, that was feel like, what's this guy going to do?
Yeah.
How's he going to react?
Then we, right from the airport, we went to the Uniters, which is a volunteer group of Ukrainians that are in Poland now, and they've been there since 2014, funneling aid to the defenders. And on Friday, met with the Ukraine embassy with a deputy ambassador, and met with him for about 45 minutes. And the feeling I got from them was just so warm and a heartfelt appreciation for everything that everybody in the world is doing, but not just material, but really from the heart, that the support that we get, the moral support we get, is really important. And I could feel the warmth, and it was a real heartfelt message. But during that meeting, I asked, well, what exactly do you need? And he says, they need uniforms. When you join the army in Ukraine, the defenders in Ukraine, they give you a rifle. They don't give you a ballistic vest, a helmet, a uniform, tactical goggles, tactical gloves, boots. Okay. They need all of that stuff. Plus, they need electronics. They need encrypted long-range two-way radios, more drones. Everything from bullets to Band-Aids is what they need.
Right. So, like you said, it's just a rifle, basically. So they need all the other armaments, uniform, protective gear, communicative gear. The drones are for more surveillance, or what are they using these drones?
Yeah, they're not weaponized.
Okay.
They are for surveillance. The ones I brought over had infrared cameras as well as optical cameras. I actually took 2 people to operate them, one to operate the gimbal for the infrared. So they're in essence, they're aerial surveillance cameras is what they are. So if you look on BBC or YouTube, you're going to see a lot of drone footage of what's going on, where
exactly
some of the atrocities have been caught on drones.
Right.
And the day actually that I left, the news was out that the exact drones that I was taking to Ukraine, the Russians had hacked them and were able to track back who was operating them and target that person. And
oh boy,
it's like you can't control. There are things you can't control, and that's one of them. They want them. I'll do the best I can to give them what they're asking for, and then it's up to them to use them as safely as they can.
And you got all the way up to the border, Poland and Ukraine, correct?
Yes.
And you could hear bombing in the distance?
No.
How far is that from Lviv?
Lviv is about 50 kilometers from the border crossing where I was.
Okay.
And we could actually see some smoke because it was the first time that they had bombed Lviv or shelled Lviv. And Katerina's sister lives in Lviv, and she was calling her. I'll tell you a story. Friday night.
That's your guide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Friday night we went to a rally to support Ukraine in Warsaw. And Katrina is from Ukraine, and she was supposed to do a live broadcast from the rally, but couldn't get enough cell coverage. So we went back to the hotel where I was staying, and she did 2 live broadcasts from the hotel to Ukraine on her iPhone. And that's where a big burly guy that presented himself as being from Arizona, but I'm convinced he was a Russian operative that spooked me, was at the bar, and he was asking all kinds of questions. Where you been? What are you doing? Are you going to the border tomorrow? And who have you seen? And he said he was in IT, and I asked him some questions about cyber terrorism and ransomware, and he gave me some answers that didn't seem to jive with what his position in Arizona was supposed to be. So I didn't sleep that night very much at all.
Yeah, so that who could have been a Russian agent or whoever, you don't know who this guy is, but that's a source of concern and fear.
Yeah, I looked him right in the eye. I said, "Are you a Russian spy?" And he held my stare.
Seriously?
Seriously, he held my stare, and I looked away, and he says, "No, but it's a good question."
Whoa! But talk about that range of emotions, because you have everything from these really heartwarming moments, it sounds like, to fearful moments, hopeful. How would you describe kind of your range of emotions that you went through?
Fatigue.
Yeah.
Sleep deprivation. There was some fear and apprehension going over, but I figured people are flying in and out of Warsaw every day, so I didn't feel a lot of stress that way. And in the 10 days to 2 weeks before I arrived in Warsaw, the population had increased 17% from refugees.
That's incredible.
I had no baseline, so I had no idea. I couldn't sense that there were more people there. But the thing that, the emotion that I felt the most in Warsaw was the support the Polish people feel towards Ukraine. All of the buses had Ukraine flags on them. There murals on the walls, or in front of the Ukraine embassy there was a memorial set up, and everybody you talked to from Ukraine was really heartfelt and appreciative for every little thing that you could do. And the Polish people, they're starting school in the morning for Poland and in the evening for Ukraine.
It's incredible. I think that's obviously one of the biggest silver linings or heartwarming aspects is like, especially the Polish people who've taken really the brunt of like the refugees, and I think relating to their own history and their empathy and their support. Their like schools opening up, jobs, all these different, their infrastructure, being stressed, and they're taking on all that. And it seems like that's just got to be so inspirational. It's like to be a part of that.
Yeah, I think that the one word you said in that was the empathy, and I felt that.
Yeah.
That they really did feel for the people in Ukraine. And that's a good emotion to take away from Poland.
There's a lot of empathy in the Valley too, and I want to get this across, is how can people help? Because I learned about this through an article in the newspaper about this Assist Ukraine, and people can go to assist-ukraine.org.
Right.
And can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, 3 people really are responsible for getting that going. It's nascent, and it gets aid directly to Ukraine without a middleman, and it's Ann Garrows, who's a longtime foreign correspondent for NPR, Art Davidson, who is from Alaska and has made his means in self-storage units, and Heinz Cordes, who used to own one of the lodges in town. So those three are really the movers behind Assist Ukraine. And one thing that since we're in contact directly with Uniters in Warsaw, we can find out, and it changes almost hourly or daily, what they really need at that time.
Right.
Talking to the people in the embassy, they said, this is funny, it's coming from the government, if you can avoid going through the embassy in D.C., do, because it just takes longer.
Right.
And if you ship something to Ukraine now, it can take 3 to 4 weeks, and I got the drones over in 2 days, and so it really makes a huge difference. They need assistance now. They'll need it in 4 weeks, but they need it now.
Well, that's huge, because you hear this interview after interview after interview, whether you're watching CNN or Fox or NBC or ABC, they talk about now. We need this stuff now, weapons now, all the other support now, not 2 or 3 weeks or 4 weeks from now, because things are escalating. They realize that, Russia's building forces, they're moving around, they're reallocating, so that's what I really appreciate. You guys kind of take the middleman out. It's just nimble and quick, right?
Right.
This is super quick assistance.
Yeah, they were taking stuff to the border the first week. They knew what border crossing to go to. They knew some people at the borders, and so their aid was getting right to where it was needed. And so that's if you give it to Red Cross, it's a big bureaucracy. Who knows how long it'll take? But I really, Assist Ukraine has a place to donate right on their website. Since I got back, I've had another email today. A lot of people want to help in any way they can, and just try to find a way for people to help.
Thank you for that. That's really appreciated. I thank you for what you've done in your personal efforts, and also for introducing people to Assist Ukraine. So assist-ukraine.org. We do want to touch on an upcoming event here locally that you took part in last year, Trash Crush. This year it's our 7th annual. We've just scheduled it. It's going to be Friday, May 6th from 10 to 1 o'clock. The big question is, Ward, will you be fashionably attired? I think you had worn pretty much all Hawaiian last time. Will you be taking part? And B, will you be costumed?
I'm not much of a costume guy, but if it's warm enough, I will dig out a Hawaiian shirt.
Nice.
Yeah, a lot depends on the weather. We've seen it snow in May, so.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Be ready with Gore-Tex or Aloha patterns.
Yeah, and you can put Aloha patterns over Gore-Tex.
Right. Or Pat Aloha. I like that Patagonia line. Pat Aloha. So speak to that. Did you enjoy it last time you volunteered?
It's work.
It's picking up litter, so it's not glamorous.
Well, it's a way to give back. It's a way to be of service to your community, and I thank you for organizing it.
My pleasure.
And I think It used to be 520 Grill. Or who is it?
Yeah, it's going to be Silver Peak Grill. It's going
Silver
to provide us lunch after.
Right.
So by the time we get kind of our, safety vests and bags and supplies, and get out to the spot, we'll have about 2.5 hours of actual cleanup. We'll have a volunteer lunch after. I do these trashy awards, which are pretty fun. We've got the City of Aspen, Pickett County Landfill, and CDOT as partners, and then Troy from Silver Peak is so great to donate the lunch. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and there's Steve Goldenberg on his tricycle. He just had a knee replacement, so he won't be joining. But he said if there's somebody else that can come along, they can use my claws to pick it up.
Oh, his little pig grabbers. Yeah. I love it. Thanks, Ward, for joining us today, and thanks for all you do. Hope to see you at Trash Crush wearing the latest Pat Aloha, and thank you guys for watching this week on The Local Show.
The Gonzo Foundation is a nonprofit organization created to promote literature, journalism, and political activism through the legacy of Hunter S. Thompson, and is a proud supporter of The Local Show and GrassRoots TV. For more information, visit thegonzofoundation.org.
I'm so passionate about this community. I absolutely love living here and raising my family here. It gives me a lot of pride to share this with my friends and my clients and help them achieve their dreams of owning an Aspen snowmass and enjoying this incredible lifestyle.
Sundog Athletics, Aspen's adventure sports school, is your opportunity to experience private, all-inclusive snowshoeing, cross-country skiing, and fat biking instructional adventures that will improve your safety, performance, and enjoyment.
Welcome to